Hey guys, how are you doing? Happy Monday and welcome to Mamapreneur Nation Monday Facebook Live. Funny story, today I went to, talking about fails, today I went to have my Invisalign get some new trays, and turns out I was wearing the wrong upper tray. So I went to the orthodontist and he was like, "What tray are we on?" And I said, "We're on tray 8." And I pull it out and it was tray 7, and I was like, "Oh, oops, that was the wrong one." But really, it was the right. I really am at an 8. I just put in the wrong tray today. So speaking of fails, it's fine. I will just pay more attention next time I am on. I am going to the orthodontist. So today I'm going to tell you my biggest fails, and I was going to talk about a few, but I just want to talk about one, and it is a whammy, y'all. So I will give a little backstory. So when I lived in Kansas with my husband, he was stationed there. He was in Korea at the time, and I was just in a place where I wanted to try something new. I was going to school for computer science, and I was hoping that I could get some really good experience before I moved to Chicago, because we already had orders to where we live now. So I went online, and in Manhattan there are like tech jobs, but there really aren't that many. And I found this one place that I absolutely loved. They have built the most beautiful websites, and I wanted to be a part of that. So I really just got amped up, and I began to believe in myself, and I just showed up one day with my resume. Yes, it was small town living, so maybe it's kind of like okay. Growing up, I grew up in a small town, and if you wanted a job, you dressed as well as you can. Well, not in a suit and tie, but you look really nice and put together, and you go in and you ask for an application. So what I did is I got dressed really nice, and I showed up, and I brought my resume, and they were the kindest people that I had even been around. And they took me around the office. They introduced me to everyone, and they took my resume and said, "We'll reach out." And I'm telling you, within a week, they had reached out, and they had set up an interview for me, and I was so pumped. That day, like, it was probably a week. So we set up a week. I showed up. Within the next week, they had given me an interview, asked me for an interview, and then I had a week to prepare for the interview. Now, this is my first fail. This is my first fail in this whole process, and I would say there's probably 3 or 4 of them. So my first fail was I was very concerned with how I was dressed. I wanted to look the part of a website designer, and honestly, in my mind, a website designer is someone who has a good fashion sense because they're creative, but they're not like too in the box. So I was really concerned with that, and I wanted to look professional, so I needed a blazer. So I went shopping, like days of shopping, because I wanted to look my best. No, I should have. Wait, I'm not even going to get to that part yet. So I got there, and I had on my blazer, and I wanted to feel a little, like I wanted to come off creative. So I wore a beautiful green shirt with a necklace that I still get tons of compliments on. It doesn't matter if I am going to Walmart or Nordstrom. I don't know why I said Nordstrom. I've only been there like one time. But if I'm going to like an expensive place to shop, I will get compliments on the necklace. And I was like, this is it. This outfit says real web designer can take on anything. So I get to the interview. I am so nervous. I am sweating, like head to toe, sweating. And they just put me into a conference room. I loved it. On the wall, they had mapped out a new app and a new website, like what was going on. And to be honest, I went to school online, so some of this stuff I had only seen in theory, and I was in a place where it was real. So I sit there. I'm like in awe of everything. I'm like getting so like even more nervous than I already was. And they come in and they talk to me, and I wanted to be a website designer. So I had been practicing website design on my own, like from scratch. Yes, practicing on my own. So when they asked, do you think that website design, like you're really good at CSS, which is cascading style sheets? And I was like, yes, I can do that. Like, I'm very optimistic. I came in here, I practically asked for a job. Who does that? I'm a boss. And then I am like, I am dressed like a website designer. I can do anything. Like, I really felt invincible. I could do anything that I put my mind to. So they're like, great, here's a test. Oh, what? So they give me a piece of paper, and it was so simple. They just wanted me to draw out what the code said. And guys, I froze. If there are three responses: fight, flight, or freeze. This is one thing that I am sure of about myself. I am a freezer. I will freeze. In this point in time, this was not the time to freeze. This is the time where you just make something up on the paper. I did not. I drew a box. That is it. I drew a box, and I just sat and I just stared at the code for like 10 minutes. I just stared at the paper. I could hear the clock secondhand ticking. It wasn't that fast. It was more like the worst, guys. The absolute worst. So the kindest people, guys, they were so kind. They came back in. I think this is the part that is so heart-wrenching for me. They come back in, and there were two guys, and one was like the interviewer, who was like the manager of the office, and then there was the other person who was the head of creating websites. Like, he was like the main person in charge of doing the code and like looking over and making sure everything is okay before they send it out to the people who request websites to be made. So he's sitting there beside me, and I have my blank piece of paper. Guys, let me show you what I did. My blank piece of paper with a single box on it, and I just kind of slide it to him. I knew that was not right. I knew that was not right because I could read the code, and I knew there was something else. I knew there were multiple steps that I needed to take, but my brain was empty. It was completely empty. So he takes the paper, he flips it over, and he looks at the manager, and he looks down and he looks back. That's it. Just a head shake, and my fate was sealed. And at that point, I had already been sweating for 20 minutes the whole length of the interview, which is probably more like 40 minutes. Now, I don't know. I lost time. It's all a blur. So, I got the head shake, and the guy said, and the manager said, "Thank you so much for coming in. We will get back to you." Okay, thank you so much for your time. This is wonderful. So I leave in my perfectly put together interview outfit, and I get in my car and I start to drive home. And I would say it is 500 feet to the light. I have already called my husband, who is in Korea, and it is nighttime, but such a sweet man. He stayed up so he could hear about my interview. He sobbing, you guys. I was sobbing. I was inconsolable, uncontrollable crying. And I'm driving. So at this point, I can hardly see the road. And I'm just saying, it was awful. It was terrible. He just shook his head and I had to leave. I don't even know if my husband knew what I was saying. And he just said, "The next time, it's fine. This is just a learning experience. You'll do better the next time." At this point, I'm so embarrassed. I am never interviewing anywhere again. You would think that that's where I stop. It wasn't. That's not where I stopped. Because then I went home. I was so embarrassed by myself. The person who checked my work at during the interview, I drew one box. I was supposed to draw 4 boxes. That's it. I was supposed to draw 4 rectangle boxes. That's all I had to do. But my brain just froze up. And as soon as I asked him to show me the answer because I wanted to know. And as soon as he wrote the next box, it was and everything came flooding back to me. And it was terrible. So at that point, I knew I could do better. I knew that I had failed because I was better than one single box on a blank piece of paper. So I get home. I hop onto my PC, my desktop, and I write an email that is practically begging for a second chance. I feel like that is the worst part. Fight, flight, or freeze, you can work on that. But to go the extra step, hop on a computer and beg for another chance, that was just nail in the coffin, y'all. If I could go back, I would not write the email. Ever. I would have just lived with it. And you know what they said to me? When they got their email and they wrote back, do you know what they said? Nothing. Because they didn't respond. I don't blame them because they shouldn't have responded because I just needed to take the L. I just needed to take the L. So awful. So awful. Mind you, I'm still in my perfectly put together. Sorry, I thought I lost connection, but I don't think I did. I thought maybe this interview could go bad, but I never in a million years thought it would go that bad. Today, I laugh about it, as you see, it is ridiculous how bad it was. And I am so glad it was terrible. I am so fearless when it comes to jobs and job interviews because I know now that it's the worst that it can get. When you know how bad something can be and then it goes that bad, you really have nothing to lose. And I'll tell you, like the next job that I interviewed for, I was I worked in entertainment as a interactive seat map designer um, for an entertainment company. That interview went so well that I didn't even have to go in person. Yes, I got hired on the phone, like 10 minutes. That was it. It was great. I loved that job. I didn't stay long, but I loved it because I didn't stay long because I had a baby. But it was an excellent job. The next interview I had was for data. It was like a data science position where they talk about Excel and all the things that you can do in Excel. Y'all, I talked about budgets, but I didn't even mention pivot tables. It was fine. It's fine. Like I didn't mention pivot tables, and I'm good. I did not get that job. It's fine. But now that I know how bad something can be, I don't mind if I don't, like if I fail, because I learned to be fearless after that. I learned that this is as bad as it can get. Like all it did was create more self-confidence into myself. Not because I did terrible, but because it didn't hurt as bad as I thought it would hurt. And thinking about that now, it makes me think of my youngest. When she started walking, she was just about a year old, and she would just take like little tiny steps, like very nervous still. Excuse me. She was still nervous, and right before she went to bed one night, she fell and bumped her head. Like it was it was right on her eyebrow bone, and it looked painful. She had a little bit of a bruise. But I tell you, the next morning, she got up and she was running, and she has not stopped running since. And I don't know if you caught the last live or the little clip from the last live, but as you see, she is climbing on everything. She's jumping on everything. She just saw the worst that it could be, and she just excels now. Like she just goes as hard as she can. And I'm encouraging you, if you are scared to fail, just fail. Because once you fail, you'll know that that's as bad as it'll get. You can do better the next time. And I knew that I was going to do better next time because I knew what not to do. That is my encouragement, it's okay to fail. Get back up and try again. Learn what you learn from it. Because that job interview, like I laugh now, but it was like so hard. Thank goodness it was not on camera. That would be like the epitome of what not to do for a job interview. And I will invite you guys again. Tonight is our She Pack night, where we get together and we talk about all the different topics in business. If you are looking for more encouragement like this, if you are looking to get with a group of ladies who are running at their goals and not afraid to fail and get back on that horse again, then let me know. Like, drop a comment or send me a message, because I am more than glad to send you a link and get to know you a little bit more and see if it's something that could really help you reach your goals and take your business to the next level. So that is today's live, my biggest fail, and I can't wait to talk to you next Monday, if not before.